A lot of Republicans are saying, oh, this is no big deal. Jack Smith laid out how big of a deal this indictment is of Donald Trump.
Yeah, 37 counts. This is very, very serious. They can politicize all they want, but the special prosecutor, Not Garland, has done a thorough job in bringing 31 counts against 31 documents that were top secret, that were national defense documents, that had to do with nuclear weapons, had to do with an invasion or attack on Iran, as well as documents so sensitive that in our intelligence agreements with 5 other countries or 4 other countries, only they could see them, if you will. And so the real question is, these are all unforced errors on Donald Trump's part. What was he doing with all of these documents? But why did he try to cover it up? And what was he going to do with these documents? Because let me tell you, he's facing 10 to 20 years in jail. And why would you go to jail by not cooperating and turning over these documents? What was so important about keeping them? I think he was going to share them or try to use them to make money or exploit some other company or some other group. Who knows?
But they even got a recording of him admitting he did not declassify the documents.
Yeah, and that's in the indictment. It's a speaking indictment, and he knew that he didn't declassify them. This political rhetoric about he could think about it and then declassify them, that's all been debunked, but we all knew that bordered on the nonsensical. It just didn't make any sense. But the sheer volume of these documents and the boxes and where he kept them. But look at the date of the indictment, right, Roland, and look at the date of his first grand jury subpoena, and the time frame for all the things he did to lie and cover up and ask his lawyers to lie and cover up, and how they moved the documents to different locations, all done after you got the grand jury subpoena. He's been indicted for the cover up and what he did after he got that subpoena, not dating back to 2016. That'll be important, because that's the cover up part, and it goes to his state of mind of him wanting to avoid and keep these documents illegally.
Yeah, I mean, he literally lied to his lawyers. He had the documents in his possession, and so he has a subpoena saying to return them, and he's like, nah, I don't feel like doing it.
Well, a lot of the questions that he asked the lawyers, remember, there was a court order where the federal district court judge in D.C. said that turn over these documents, or rather turn over your attorney notes, because of the crime fraud exception. Donald Trump was trying to get his lawyers to help him commit a crime. Now, the co-conspirator is his former military valet, but he, in those notes, which have doomed, and a big part of this indictment were the notes from his attorneys based on what he was either asking them, which isn't a big deal because clients ask you about the parameters of their defense all the time. But he actually lied to his own lawyers and tried to get them to lie to DOJ. I got to tell you, this is a speaking indictment, but it's a glaring indictment on Donald Trump. The chickens have come home to roost, and it's all about accountability at this point.
So, Scott, when you see these people out here trying to defend him, saying, oh, this is a witch hunt, this is all political, it's a little hard for them to now yell and scream that we're now faced with this actual unsealing of this indictment.
Well, they ought to be concerned about the national security of this country. I don't care whether you're black, white, yellow, brown, Democrat, or Republican. What this indictment says is that he had all of these documents, about hundreds or more, boxes of them in unsecure locations, and they were trying to avoid disclosing, let alone turning them back over. I don't care about politics. When you get in the courtroom, the criminal justice system is about facts. Those political arguments don't work, and I'll be honest with you. At this reflective point is for the GOP to look and see, I don't care how many MAGA supporters make up the GOP, is this the time to walk away from Donald Trump? How can you support a candidate and a leader of your party who has not only been found civilly liable for rape, but is under federal indictment now for espionage and conspiracy, and pending a state indictment in regard to 31 or more counts of fraud? It's crazy. It's idiocy.
Well, and then you know it's real when 2 of his attorneys resigned today. He's got to go out and get some real lawyers with experience in these sort of cases. He can't just sit here and treat this as some, oh, no big deal. This is now real.
Well, but you see, Roland, what's technically wrong about your question is that none of the top white-collar criminal defense lawyers who are available normally in these cases based in Washington and New York aren't taking his cases.
Oh, no, I know.
They're not taking his calls.
I know.
So
what I'm saying is
secondary level lawyers doing this stuff, at least in my opinion, and now he's got to go find local counsel in Florida. But those lawyers, Representative Donald Trump can be dangerous to your health and your law license. You got to start protecting yourself.
Yeah, because, the reality is, as we see in the indictment, you've got a client who will willingly lie to his attorneys. Look, right. I'm not a lawyer, but lawyers always say, if it's one person, you can lie to your wife, you can lie to your boss.
Right.
All right, folks, I had to head inside because the iPhone, when you're outdoors, it overheats. That's what shut us down. So Scott, before I got cut off, I was saying the one person lawyers always tell you, never, ever, ever lie to your lawyer. Give your lawyer all the information so they can protect your behind. This fool, I keep telling everybody, Donald Trump will lie about a lie.
Donald Trump will lie when the truth will set him free, what my mother used to say. and in this case, clients always, I've been doing this about 36 years. Look, clients will always hold back a little bit, or they may bend the truth a little bit with you, but it's really a waste of their money, because if you don't give your lawyer all the information, then you're probably going to go down. Because we're going to find out when we talk to the government, and in 36 years, no one's ever told me everything in regard to my first initial representation of clients. But in this case, what he was trying to do, one thing to ask about what we can do and what we can't do from a defense standpoint, it's another thing, but to ask them to co-conspire with you in order to avoid detection of these documents. You just simply can't do that, because then the lawyer doesn't want to be a client himself, and so that's why they recorded these notes. This was protection early on, because they knew Donald Trump's character, and they knew what he's going to try to do or not do, and they simply did not trust him. You can represent somebody that you don't trust, but they didn't trust him.
And here's the easy thing. All he had to do was simply return the documents. He did not want to do that.
Yeah, and you see, that's going to be the second shoe that drops. There's going to be an investigation. It's going to come out why he didn't want to turn over these documents. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it on your show today. There's a reason he didn't want to turn over these documents. He was going to use those documents to exploit something or someone, or to try to generate revenues as a result of those documents. That's the only reason you would risk criminal indictment, by holding on to those documents. We know he's in financial straits. We know his properties have all been losing money since he became president and ran for president. But that can be the only reason. Follow the money, and we'll find the answer.
All right, Scott, last question here, and that is, it's June. Will there be a trial inside of a year? Do you think it comes after the election in November 2024?
Well, a couple thoughts there. In New York, it's scheduled for April or May. That trial is going to go because that judge is going to make it go, because they don't care about politics in the criminal justice system. With the federal indictment, we won't know what the trial date is until Tuesday or Thursday at the arraignment, but the federal judge will set that trial date, and the government is always ready for trial. They don't indict until they know they're ready for trial. Now, from the defense standpoint, and this is really important, when you're representing someone who's an elected official and running for any office, do you try to get an expedited trial date to get it out of the way? If you think he got a strong case, he could be acquitted and then run and go get the nomination. That's one strategy. The other strategy is delay, because no indictment, no conviction means you got a shot. I can tell you the criminal defense lawyers are contemplating that right now. Expediting discovery and going to trial right away might be a winning strategy and formula. The problem is it becomes impractical. With Marilyn Mosley, we tried that, and unfortunately, between experts and discovery and government delays, we weren't able to pull it off, and she wasn't successful in her reelection effort. So watch for what the trial strategy will be for the defense lawyers, sooner or later.
All right, Scott Bolden, former federal prosecutor. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.